the CEO of Concerned Women for America, and Kristen Hawkins, Students for Life, come up, and then we'll go to Congressman Pitts.
I'll be very brief. I'm the CEO of Concerned Women for America. My full statement will be on our website, cwfa.org. We have over 500,000 members throughout the country, women who stand with Mike Pence and with these women members today. We will be participating in the calling in today, asking Congress to immediately cease and desist in funding Planned Parenthood. And we are unabashedly pro-life. And we continue in that vein, but I would also say we have taken the lead against the issue of sex trafficking. And even if you're not pro-life, you need to pause for a moment and recognize what these videos reveal. It reveals that Planned Parenthood is the unindicted co-conspirator with sex trafficking. Sex traffickers are rampant in this country. We have over 100,000 people, children, women, children mainly, and little boys that are trafficked into this country every year. And Planned Parenthood is participating and covering up. So we've also called on Eric Holder to launch an investigation and perhaps even file RICO charges against them. In 1993, Congress allowed RICO to be triggered by sex trafficking charges. And so we are urging DOJ to take this very seriously and to look at criminal investigations into these clinics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Hawkins. I'm the Executive Director of Students for Life of America. We work with over 570 college and high school organizations throughout the nation. Today I'm just here to repeat what we've been hearing, that Planned Parenthood needs to be federally defunded, and it needs to be done now. Planned Parenthood targets the women we serve every single day on the college and high school campuses. Just a couple of years ago, in 2002, an organization called Life Dynamics did an undercover investigation. They had an actor posing as a 13-year-old girl calling into over 800 abortion facilities. 91% were complicit in covering up the sexual abuse. In 2007, 107 criminal charges were brought against Planned Parenthood in mid-Missouri and Kansas, 23 of them felonies, for doing illegal late-term abortions and then falsifying their medical records to cover up their crimes. We've seen with Live Action and other pro-life students across America, we've seen them go into the clinics and prove that Planned Parenthood is covering up statutory rape across the nation. They promote the barbaric practice of infanticide, and they will accept racially motivated donations. And today, we saw Planned Parenthood is now aiding and abetting sex traffickers. When will it stop? I know abortion is not a popular issue, especially as a politician. It's not something we want to talk about, but we have to. We have to ask the question, what is going inside of Planned Parenthood? What is going on? And why do we continue to use our federal taxpayer money to cover up their crimes? The time is now to stop. Thanks.
Thank you. PlannedParenthood.com. Congressman Pitts, the head of the Health Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce, and then Congressman Smith, the chair of the House Pro-Life Caucus, will be next.
Thank you, Marjorie. This week, the Energy and Commerce Committee is acting to stop the government funding of abortions. But I am very pleased to stand here with the Pro-Life Women's Caucus, what I call the eloquent and elegant spokespeople for the pro-life cause, to expose the Planned Parenthood deception and the exploitation of women and children in these clinics. And what we have seen this past couple of weeks reminds us of the horrors that are associated with the abortion industry. While the videos released by Live Action show the despicable actions of Planned Parenthood, I want to take a moment to bring to your attention the actions of an abortion doctor from eastern Pennsylvania. Kermit Gosnell, MD, operated a women's health clinic in West Philadelphia until recently. It was here that he spent 4 decades offering his, quote, services, end quote, to the community. Upon further investigation by a court-ordered grand jury, these services involved murder of women and babies alike. According to the grand jury, he, quote, regularly and illegally delivered live, viable babies in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy and then murdered these newborns by severing their spinal cords with scissors, end quote. If that is not disgusting enough, during one of these acts of murder, Gosnell joked that the baby was so big that he could, quote, walk me to the bus stop, end quote. While it is clear that this man is a criminal, his clinic was still able to operate for years without being inspected or audited. In this country, 95% of the abortions occur in clinics, not hospitals. Not only should Congress be defunding clinics like these, we should also be urging investigation into abortion clinics across the country so a tragedy like this one in Philadelphia does not happen again. Let me just say that I'm very grateful that we're working with pro-life leadership here in the House. There is a collective effort already underway to strip all federal funding from organizations that promote or perform abortions. And this is primarily done through the vehicle of Mike Pence's legislation. I'm pleased to support it. But let's hope that the Senate will agree with us on this issue. Thank you very much for your leadership.
Let me just begin. My name is Chris Smith. I chair the Human Rights Committee of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And Lila Rose in Live Action has done what our U.S. attorneys, our attorneys general, our attorney general here in Washington, and law enforcement across the country have utterly failed to do, and that is to investigate the complicity of Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics and their 800-plus network of abortion mills throughout this country with the modern-day slavery known as sex trafficking. I say that with some authority. I'm the prime sponsor of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. We just celebrated the 10th anniversary of that legislation, which says that anyone who has not attained the age of 18, after 18 by force, fraud, or coercion, anyone who has not attained the age of 18, who is engaging in commercial sexual activity, and that is exactly what Lila Rose and her team uncovered, that when pimps and sex traffickers went into abortion mills run by Planned Parenthood, that they were told, we could facilitate an abortion for a 14-year-old. Matter of fact, in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, which is where I went to high school, the Planned Parenthood in that town, the person who spoke, said, oh, we can make an arrangement to go to Metropolitan Abortion Mill, which does abortions up to 23 weeks, which doesn't ask any questions. I asked the press here, and we call on law enforcement to take seriously their responsibility to protect the young girls and the young women in this country from this cruelty and exploitation, this facilitation of sex trafficking by Planned Parenthood. This is an engraved invitation to law enforcement to go in and investigate. They have been AWOL, across the board. That changes today. This is the game changer. I ask members of the press, please, look at these videos. These are young girls, 14 and under, are being told in Bronx, New York, when asked a healthcare worker about the age and about these young girls getting abortions, she says, just do it, just bring them in, and they'll get their abortions. No questions asked. And again, that enables, that helps the sex traffickers, which is modern day slavery. And according to our law, because I wrote it, it is a serious crime. Any part of the continuum, recruitment, transport, harboring, and any kind of exploitation along the way, including in the brothel, this is part of that exploitation. Crimes are being committed, investigated.
Congressman Cliff Stearns and then Congressman Trent Franks.
Margie, thank you very much, and hello everybody. I'm Cliff Stearns from North Central Florida. I've been in Congress 22 years, and I have a 100% pro-life record during those 22 years. And I have seen our efforts to try to defund Planned Parenthood before. But like Ecclesiastes says, there is a time and a season. And my fellow members of Congress and the pro-life caucus, this is it. This is when we're going to defund Planned Parenthood. If you ask GAO, how much do we give to Planned Parenthood? They said roughly about $620 million from the year 2002 to 2009. But when you look over at this graph and you add it up, it's almost $1 billion. Now, when you have a deficit of $1.5 trillion and you have a debt of $15 trillion, surely you wouldn't want to spend money for something that is unethical, in which Planned Parenthood breaks the law, and fundamentally ask people to lie. When you look at that video and you see the woman saying to the pimp and to the young woman, young girl, just lie, it's as atrocious, it's outrageous. So now is the season for us to do this. And towards that end, I'm chairman of the Energy and Commerce Oversight and Investigation, and we're going to bring Health and Human Service Secretary Sebelius, put her under oath in this spring, and ask her to explain what is she doing about these videos. We're not going to wait for the Attorney General to hold her to do anything. And if she lies, then we're going to ask the Attorney General to investigate her. This is a struggle for the right thing. I encourage everybody to realize the time is now. God willing, we'll accomplish what we intended to do. Long time in coming, but now it can be done. Thank you.
Congressman Trent Franks.
Well, I want to express my deep honor in being with all of these people here today. You know, Chris Smith and Mike Pence and so many others. Cliff, I've been at this for a long time. And people have wondered, why are they so committed? And I think perhaps that's becoming a part of the American consciousness now, that we're beginning to wake up a little bit. Somehow the new technologies of ultrasound are making us all start to ask the real questions. We're beginning to see the humanity of the victim and the inhumanity of what is done to them. And I am convinced more than ever that we're asking that real question: does abortion really kill a baby? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if abortion really does kill a baby, then in this, the seat of freedom, we are living in the midst of the greatest human genocide in the history of humanity. And every time one of them takes place, three things are true. Number one, a nameless little baby dies a lonely, tragic death. Number two, a mother is never the same, no matter what anybody tells you. And number three, all the gifts that that little baby might have brought to this human family are lost forever. And I'm convinced more than ever that the American people understand why we're here. They understand that the essence of America is that all are created. All of God's children have that divine image stamped on their souls. And it was Thomas Jefferson said that the care and protection of human life, and not its destruction, is the only object of good government. And I would just say to you that killing little unborn children does not liberate women. It does not cause America to be who she really is. It is not the cause for which those men lying out under the stones in Arlington National Cemetery died, and it is not good government. And today, we're stepping in the direction to say we are not going to force taxpayers to pay for this tragedy any longer.
Congressman Lamborn from Colorado and Congressman Huselkamp. And then Lila's going to wrap up. I just want to say one thing, and that, unless I, did I miss? I'm sorry. Did we miss me? Oh, Andy, where are you? I'm sorry. Well, one thing I do want to add, there is a reason there's a sea change in terms of women in politics right now. The women that you see behind you add up to a very strong pro-life women's caucus in the House, 17 women, more than ever before. And there's a reason. There's a reason, and it's rooted in the exploitation that we see in Planned Parenthood and the exploitation of women in politics that people have done. So I want to thank you for coming, and you three will wrap up. I want to hear from Lila.
Marjorie, thanks for what you're doing. Lila and all the others, thank you for your bravery and your courage for bringing these videos to the attention of the American people. This is a tragedy that has to be addressed. I want to support the women here, leaders in Congress. I will do everything I can, along with Joe Pitts, Chris Smith, Trent Franks, and Mike Pence, all the other great leaders, to stop this travesty of taxpayer money going for abortion. Money is fungible. So money that goes to Planned Parenthood is going for abortion. There is no other way to look at it. And we have to pass the legislation. American people want to stop these $1.5 trillion deficits each year, and we have to stop the funding of taxpayer-funded abortion. The American people are heavily on that side. You put those two together, we must pass the Pence legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Tim Hillskamp from Kansas, and a real pleasure, really real honor to be here with some real long time and new titans in the battle for the defense of life. I come here today on two counts. First is obviously as a taxpayer and member of Congress, and to think that we send these type of funds to this type of organization is really obviously fiscally irresponsible. In addition to that, I know I come as a father of 4 children, and if you look at the history of Planned Parenthood, the history that the media refuses to report, this is a racist organization. It's an organization that targets minorities. It's an organization that systematically has set out to destroy entire minority populations. I'm the adopted father, or I'm the father of 4 adopted children. They are the type of children, African American children, that have been targeted but survived the Planned Parenthood machine. It is morally reprehensible that our taxpayer dollars should fund such an entity. States across this nation, including my home state of Kansas, just yesterday, 75% vote said, no more, we don't want your money from the federal government. Let's make sure other states have that opportunity to deny funding the Planned Parenthood as well. And I'll note as well, coming from Kansas, it was noted, Planned Parenthood in the state of Kansas has been indicted on 107 criminal charges. It's only due to the corruption in the Kansas Supreme Court that they have not been found guilty. But they will be found guilty. The time is now for action to stop Planned Parenthood and the racist like here. Thank you.
Again, all these statements will be on exposeplannedparenthood.com and the charts are here as well.
In closing, I want to challenge everyone here who has not seen these videos or some of the full footage online to watch it. And remember, keep in mind that every employee, manager, supervisor, practitioner, staffer that you're watching on these tapes is in part being supported, being propped up, being funded by taxpayer dollars. That this is being supported right now by taxpayer dollars, by the people. We need to have a zero tolerance policy for sexual abuse. We need to enact this immediately for the cover of sexual abuse. One other note, this is news that we're just releasing today beyond the DC clinic, the 7th clinic that we've released showing the aiding and abetting of human trafficking of underage girls, of minors. We're also releasing that we are sending a letter to the Attorney General, to General Holder, and then also to share it with people and share it with the legislature that Planned Parenthood claims, and they tried to preempt our investigation, and this organization claimed that our organization investigated for human trafficking in several states. And in their letter to the Attorney General Holder, they wrote that we investigated the state of Indiana. I want to announce here that our organization has not done any investigation in the state of Indiana for human trafficking. What we can only draw, the conclusion that we can only draw from this is that Planned Parenthood actually aided and abetted, or showed willingness to aid and abet, a human trafficker in the state of Indiana. And we are extremely concerned about this and calling on state authorities in Indiana and federal authorities to immediately investigate, because our organization was not in the state of Indiana for this investigation. Instead, we can only expect that a week after this occurrence took place, whatever the occurrence was an actual human trafficker, then the organization of Planned Parenthood decided to talk with the FBI or whoever, but there's an actual human trafficker, as there are across our country. Hundreds of thousands of children are being trafficked, young women and young girls are being trafficked, and there are actual human traffickers walking into Planned Parenthood, able to do business as usual, because the perfect partner of a pimp in our nation, of a human trafficker, is an abortion clinic that won't ask any questions, that will look the other way, that will cover up abuse. And that's what's happening today in our country. Thank you for hearing us.